Montenegro is known as the youngest country in the world. It is located in Europe, in the Balkan Peninsula, and shares a common past with other nations like Bosnia, Croatia, Slovenia, Macedonia, and Serbia in the former Yugoslavia. After the dissolution of Yugoslavia and the subsequent independence of these nations, Montenegro joined Serbia to form a single country. However, Montenegro achieved independence in May 2006 through a referendum, thus becoming the youngest country on the planet. Throughout its history, Montenegro experienced periods of autonomy from the Ottoman Empire in the Balkans. Its independence was officially recognized by the Treaty of Berlin in 1878, which also granted independence to Bulgaria, Romania, and Serbia. In 1910, Prince Nicholas proclaimed himself king, but the Kingdom of Montenegro lasted only 8 years. Following the end of World War I in 1918, Montenegro was absorbed by the Kingdom of Serbs, Croats, and Slovenes, which later in 1929 became the Kingdom of Yugoslavia. During World War II, guerrillas led by Marshal Tito found refuge in the mountains of Montenegro. After the region's liberation in 1944, Montenegro became one of the 6 republics forming the Socialist Federal Republic of Yugoslavia. In the 1990s, Yugoslavia disintegrated with the declaration of independence by 4 republics, while Serbia and Montenegro maintained a new federation with Serbian predominance. In 1992, a referendum favored union with Serbia, but from 1996 onwards, the Montenegrin government led by Milo Đukanović pursued a policy of independence from Serbia, adopting the German framework and later the euro as the official currency. Montenegro's independence was finally achieved in May 2006 through a referendum, with 55% of the votes deciding to separate from Serbia. This made Montenegro the youngest country in the world. In terms of sports, during the 2006 FIFA World Cup, Italy won the trophy. Montenegro and Serbia had separated just a month earlier, but they competed as a single team during the tournament. Geographically, Montenegro borders Bosnia to the west and northwest, Croatia to the southwest, Serbia to the north and northeast, and Albania to the east and southeast. Although it shares cultural similarities with Serbia, Montenegro has always had autonomous political aspirations, widely supported by the majority of its population. This small country has an area of 14,000 square kilometers and a population of just 650,000 inhabitants, mostly Christians, although there are also Muslims. Although it is not yet a member of the European Union, Montenegro uses the euro as its official currency. Let's now look at Montenegro's current economic situation. This country, which went through a complicated process of separation from the former Yugoslavia, currently relies heavily on foreign resources. Domestic production is scarce, forcing Montenegro to import a wide variety of products from neighboring countries and various regions of Europe. If for some reason Europe turned its back on Montenegro, the country could face serious economic problems, so the presence of foreign investors plays a crucial role in the Montenegrin economy. So far, the country derives most of its income from tourism and foreign companies, but the banking sector lags behind many other countries. Digital banking services are not as advanced, and even the simplest banking transactions often require a visit to a physical bank branch. In the Transparency Index, which measures the level of corruption in each country, Montenegro is tied with Cuba and China in 65th place out of 180 countries. This means that the higher the score, the less corrupt the country. In this case, Denmark ranks first as the least corrupt country in the world in tax matters. The tax pressure in Montenegro includes a personal and corporate income tax rate ranging from 9% to 15%. VAT rates also vary, for example, 7% for services related to the tourism sector and essential goods, and 21% for goods and services. Montenegro also imposes a flat tax of 15% on practically all types of income. For salaries below $700 per month, there is no income tax. Between $700 and $1,000 per month, the tax is 9%, and above that figure, a 15% tax applies. As for the cost of living, the average rent for a standard apartment in Montenegro usually ranges between $350 and $700. It is important to note that the amount you will pay for rent may vary depending on various factors, such as the location of the housing, whether it is furnished, and whether the items inside are new or old. For example, suppose you manage to find a standard apartment in Montenegro for $400. The cost of electricity for a family of 2 or 3 members averages around 50. An advantage is that tap water in Montenegro is drinkable, which means you do not have to buy bottled water. The average cost of high-speed internet and fiber optic does not exceed 20. You also have additional expenses such as rent and environmental tax, which add up to a maximum of 15. And when it comes to food for 2 or 3 people, you should be prepared to spend at least 300 per month. Finally, the current minimum wage in the country is 530, although this figure is relatively low compared to other European countries. It is important to remember that the cost of living in Montenegro is generally lower than in most other European countries. Montenegro's public healthcare system does not reach the highest levels, but it is not considered bad either. If you are a manager or employee of a company, you can access it at no additional cost. There is also the option of using the private healthcare system, which offers a wide variety of private doctors and is usually quite affordable. For example, a blood test can cost between 20 and 30, making a visit to a public hospital unnecessary for basic surgical interventions, such as a small kidney operation, which usually costs around 1,000. Additionally, a dental checkup can cost you about 20. A relevant detail about Montenegro that you may not have known is that great freedom is allowed on the beaches when tourism is involved. It is common to see people sunbathing naked without any shame, walking naked on the beaches, and swimming in the sea without any problem. Interestingly, thanks to the abundance of well-being in the country, crime rates are remarkably low. You can walk alone on the streets of Montenegro at 2 in the morning without fear of scares or robberies. Additionally, the country lacks hustle and bustle, which means no traffic jams and no time wasted in gridlocks. Given the country's tiny size, there are not many cars on the streets, and finding parking is not a problem. You don't have to endure 2-day bus trips to cross the country from end to end, as you can reach anywhere in Montenegro in a matter of hours. As for the language, the official language of Montenegro is Montenegrin, although if you are familiar with Serbian, Bosnian, Albanian, or Croatian, you can live comfortably in this country using these languages, as they all have roots in the common culture of the past. It is important to note that English is not included in this list, which may come as a surprise and disappointment to some visitors. Most of the country's inhabitants have limited proficiency in English, which is especially evident in government institutions where communicating in English can be challenging. Regarding religion, the population of Montenegro has a strong connection to religious beliefs. Despite the presence of Muslims, the nation is mainly inhabited by Orthodox Christians, making this group the majority, although Muslims form the largest minority group. Montenegro is a very interesting country for those who want to live in Europe without having to pay the numerous taxes that are paid in other European countries. It is also a good option for digital nomads and perpetual tourists in general, as costs are low and it is easy to avoid becoming a tax resident. Have you ever been or do you plan to visit this small country? Leave your opinion down below in the comments. If you liked the video, don't forget to leave your like and subscribe to the channel.
See you in the next video.